All right, so I'm on the last day of a 3-day winter trip, and I thought I'd go over my food, just because food is a pretty tricky thing. Really, there's 2 or 3 main criteria that I use for my winter food. The first is that I'm always willing to eat it. So it can't be something that sometimes I just don't feel like eating. So it has to be sort of tasty. I just have to like it. The second thing, and one of the most important, is that it passes the freeze test. The freeze test is huge. I have a really distinct memory of going out once and all of our food being completely frozen and we couldn't eat it. So it's got to pass the freeze test. The best way to figure that out is to take something that you could eat, put it in your freezer at home overnight, and if you take it out from the freezer and you can't eat it, it failed. And then the third thing is it has to be high calorie. And fourth thing is that it has to be not too expensive. So, you know, on these trips, it's easy to get into things like bars and stuff like that. So, you know, cost is a little bit of a factor, the lowest down on the list. So I really bring 4 foods with me on all of these winter trips, and I just eat the same thing every day. The first and sort of staple on my trips is a type of granola bar that I make. And I wouldn't really call it, I don't know if granola bar is the right word, but it's basically a giant cookie that's made with oats. And I can make huge sort of containers of this. Oats, sugar, butter, almond flour, and some chocolate chips. But it's got a massive amount of butter in it, and it was minus 20 overnight, all night. So this is, you know, does it pass the freeze test? Yep, I can break it apart. I can eat it as is. So a lot of energy type bars are gonna freeze solid, and then you're gonna have no food. So this, I actually like it when it's frozen. I pack 2 of these per day, and it's my breakfast and what I eat all day. I think it comes into about, these 2 combined, comes into over 1,000 calories. Next up is sort of the classic hiker's food, which are potato chips. Potato chips never freeze, they're high calorie, they're readily available, and I can always eat them. Like I'm always psyched up to eat potato chips. So, you know, no matter how cold these are, it's not a problem. I can just shovel them in my face. High calorie. I pack about 200 grams of potato chips a day. 100, depends on the trip, somewhere between 125 and 200 grams of potato chips per day. So on this trip, I brought 2 200-gram bags for 3 days, and it should be more than enough. Next thing is salami. So in warmer temperatures, I like to bring an actual sort of salami that's not been cut up, and that kind of helps preserve it, I think. In the winter, I want to bypass that problem and just go with pre-sliced salami. Again, it's completely frozen right now, but I can still eat it, and I always like the taste. So salami's a big one. I packed about 150 grams of salami per day. And then the last one, which is sort of my least favorite, is some kind of nuts. I'm pretty rarely stoked to eat nuts, but they're cheap, they're available, and you can always eat them. The last big part of it is a freeze-dried meal that I eat every night. So that's sort of my dinner. I eat a lot by Peak Refuel. I have no affiliation with that company in any way, but I really like their food. So I have snacks all day, freeze-dried meal at the end of the day. Sort of really good for your spirits to have that sort of warm meal that tastes like a real, almost like a home-cooked meal. And, you know, they're definitely expensive, but I like the fact that they're really simple. Just pour boiled water in them and you're good to go. So that's my food system. There's nothing really complicated about it, but I think that's pretty important for a winter trip, to have really simple go-to things that you know that you like. I don't really want to be experimenting with new types of food on a trip like this. So those are all tried and true to me. So yeah, that's it.